What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday. Rob Ferretti here, and I came upon probably the worst piece of financial advice I've ever seen in print. And I decided it was time to respond to that. And today I'm going to talk about it. There's a link to the Huffington Post article in the description of this video if you want to go read through it. But I'm going to link you to all the highlights now. And the title of the article was, "Want to buy an exotic car for cheap? Follow these 7 steps." I mean, that's just straight up as clickbaity as it gets. But then they follow it up with a bunch of terrible financial advice to, I have no idea. I really don't know what they were going for here. But I'll go through it piece by piece. Number 1, they say build up your credit score. And I'm not going to say or fault anyone for building up their credit score. What follows building up your credit score is probably going to ruin your financial life for the rest of your life. But build up your credit score, I don't disagree there. Next one. Get collector car financing. Now, collector car financing is not what you want. Collector car financing, otherwise known as the polite way of saying 10-year Woodside credit broke-ass financing, is the ultimate indication you're buying something you shouldn't be. Now, Woodside credit does 144-month financing on automobiles. That's the longest term that I know on any car. A car is a depreciating asset. If the goal of this article is to convince people that they can afford a car that they can't otherwise afford, this is now just saying like, yeah, just like Jesus walked on water, I think you got this. Just step off your cruise ship. No, bad idea. 144-month financing on a car that you can't afford is an absolute terrible financial suggestion. Don't even think about it. But it gets worse. So now they're telling you to finance something forever, which means like you're going to spend far more than you should financing the car. And when there's options out there like PenFed or any standard bank loan right now is like 1.5, 2.5, 3%. That's cheap money. That is not expensive. You do not want to stretch your loan out for 12 years. That's 144-month financing. 12 years, really bad idea, especially when you can go to companies like PenFed or even Bank of America, anyone, name it. Car loans are anywhere between 0.5% and 3%. That's not a bad interest rate. So to say like this collector car insurance or this collector car financing, as they put it, is anything magical, it's not. You should be able to get a standard car loan and should borrow for no more than 60 months. That's what I would, maybe 72 if you're stretching your budget. But that's if you're buying a reliable car that you're going to be using a lot and you understand it's going to depreciate. We'll get to that. Identify the best model. Sure, that's easy. You could say that about any car. Identify the best model. They're citing a guy named John Norrie in this article. John Norrie and I were friends, and I know John has had success in buying and selling cars in the past. But that's akin to saying Michael Phelps won 20 gold medals by eating 10,000 calories a day. Go fill her up and good luck out there. It's not, there's no correlation. What you're essentially telling people to do is get involved in a rich man's game. And John Norrie can afford to lose money on cars. He's done very well and made money on a lot of cars that he's had, but that doesn't translate to anyone. You have to be able to shoulder the risk involved with that. It's like saying, hey, go cash out, go take a loan for 50 grand instead of the $1,000 a hand blackjack table. That may not work out for you if you can't shoulder the burden of losing that money. If you can shoulder the burden of losing it, who gives a shit? Sure, there's a bunch of different ways to go at it, but if you can't shoulder that loss or identify the other risks involved, that's the last thing you should be able to do. And this article is essentially telling you, just follow these steps and you too can have a car for really, really cheap. Do your due diligence. This is standard on any car purchase. Just have a mechanic, check the Carfax, check the auto check, make sure the vehicle history is consistent with the mileage on the car and the condition on the car, and then have a mechanic inspect it. And as long as the car checks out, that's just standard. Make sure you're buying a good car. And then make sure everything comes with it, books, keys, manuals, if it's a car that's going to have any sort of collectible value. Hire a competent mechanic. This is where they mention the PPIs. Same sort of thing. You always want to know a competent mechanic to minimize your exposure when you buy the car, to make sure that the car is inspected through a PPI. And then also you want to make sure that you have the availability to have your car repaired at a reasonable price instead of going and getting bent over by a dealer. Minimize your tax and insurance burden. Jesus Christmas. The tax and insurance are 2 large expenses when it comes to a car. Sales tax depends on certain states. They charge it in different ways. Here they're suggesting going out and starting a Montana LLC. a Montana LLC comes with cost. It costs money to start it, costs money to maintain it. It also costs money to register a car because you have to pay a lawyer to register the car, and then you have to pay a registration fee of a car. I think it's like $800, $500 for a lawyer, $300 for the registration. So right there, it's not free. You're paying for your incorporation, then you're paying to maintain it, and then you're paying for each vehicle that you register. Not the whole like you avoid taxes and everything like that. When the car value gets high enough, it sort of makes sense to do it. It's sort of the standard play. The other thing is, and then they say, I'm not an attorney, neither is John, so check it, of course. But that is the best, worst advice ever, because that's a rich man's game. Playing the Montana thing doesn't translate over to everyone else. It's the same thing, as I said, I did a whole video on the Montana tax loophole and why people do it, but that's not going to make sense for one car. If you go out and buy a car for $50,000, $70,000, $100,000, it may not be worth doing given what the tax burden actually may be. And Montana is also talking about doing a yearly tax on the cars. Then minimize your insurance burden. That's another one. Insurance burden, the only way you can minimize your insurance burden is by lying. And I am not telling anyone to lie, but if you have a car, these assumptions that are made with this article are that you're going to buy a car, park it, never drive it. That's not what this article is trying to say. This article is trying to tell you, hey, if you want an exotic car cheap, here are the 7 ways to do it. Go get it. Go get your exotic car. Then the guy's going to want to drive it, but you can't do that. These hidden costs associated with this are depreciation, maintenance, huge expenses. And if you're financing a car for 10 years plus to try to get it and then registering it in Montana to try to offset the tax burden, and then trying to get some sort of collector car policy that's not going to cover you actually driving the car, you're better off investing your money elsewhere. If you're doing this to make money off of it, it's the last thing. They don't mention maintenance, which is very expensive. You could eat an engine on any of these cars for a transmission, $15,000 to $30,000. There's a lot of stuff involved here. The depreciation is huge. All these assumptions they're making here about owning a car for a couple $100 a month and maybe it works out. It's worked out for me. It's worked out for John. It's worked out for a lot of people. But we've also been able to shoulder that risk. We've been able to eat if something big happened to the car. We can go out and drop the $5,000 service, a $10,000 service. If you don't take care of these cars or you don't drive these cars and it needs service or the market adjusts, you could be staring at $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 in depreciation and maintenance expenses. I bought my 360s when they needed clutches because people go to the dealer and like, I'd rather not spend $8,000 or $10,000 in a clutch. Just sell the thing. And that's a good spot to buy it. But you have to be aware that all of these are possibilities. And as much as you can physically do this, and this is a possibility to own a car and it doesn't cost you a lot, like I have with my GT3, with my 360s, with my Cobra R, with my Viper. It's worked for me. It's worked for John. That doesn't necessarily mean it's sound advice for somebody who's stretching the budget and just made sure their credit was really good to go out and risk everything to get a car that they probably can't drive, and because if they do, it may go down in value and depreciate, or they may have to repair it, and then they're going to lose all incentive and all will to live. So this article is very, very, very clickbait. It's very stupid. And then the last thing they suggest is that instead of trailering the car to save the $1,000 or $1,500 or whatever it is, they say you can go out and pick it up yourself, like go rent a U-Haul or something. If you're really concerned with, you could ship a car from coast to coast enclosed here for $2,000 at the most. And if you have no time constraints, probably $1,500. So if your time is that, it doesn't carry that much of a value that you can go out and drive that yourself, you're saving a couple $100. You should not be shopping for an exotic car. I am sorry. I hate to break it to you, but this article was absolute trash. Don't take most of the advice that was in it. Don't use it as this panacea that all of a sudden like, well, everybody could go out and buy exotic cars. It doesn't work like that. This article is describing what somebody who already has means and can buy these cars can do and can execute if they juggle around and they have enough time to put into it, but it's not something that transfers over to everyone. Stupid article. Check the link in the description if you want to read it for yourself. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching. I had to comment. This was just too dumb to not address. And I hope you know what? I think it's dumb enough that most people wouldn't have even attempted it, but I wanted to get it out there. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.